In the vast plains of Africa, there were two rival kingdoms of Ajanlekoko and Ebileke. Ajanlekoko was a tough kingdom whose ruler was harsh and ruthless in wars and acquiring of lands to enlarge his kingdom. The king was Ajage the fifth. He had a very handsome son, the prince and heir to his throne called Ejinle. Prince Ejinle was the only child of the king and thus was trained to be as tough as his father. He was very well respected and held in high esteem in the kingdom. The girls in the kingdom of Ajanlekoko and other neighboring kingdoms often dreamt of one day becoming the prospective bride of the prince of the land. On the other side of the vast plains of Africa was the said kingdom of Ebileke, who was rival to Ajanlekoko kingdom. The king of Ebileke kingdom was a very strong warrior too, but he loved peace and only went to wars when threatened. Otherwise, he rarely went to war. He had only one child, and that child was a girl. He had dreamt of having more children and heirs to his throne, but it had not been possible. He therefore hoped one day a good prince with a lot of respect and wealth would come forward to marry his daughter, Princess Anuleka, to preserve his kingdom and future heritage. Princess Anuleka was kind, respectful, and humble. She was well brought up and thus was the pride of her parents and kingdom. The kingdom of Ajanlekoko and Ebileka were always at loggerheads and they were arch enemies. They never did anything together. In fact, they were sworn enemies due to land issues and territorial boundaries. One day, while the princess of Ebileka was thus moving around, he saw someone. Who was that person? It was the prince of the land. Anuleka was returning home with her aides from a visit to her mother's kingdom in Akoko. She had an encounter with Prince Ejile, who was on his way to visit a friend in another kingdom. As soon as Prince Ejile saw Anuleka, he was taken aback with her beauty. He could not take his eyes off her, and he bowed down before her, seeking acquaintance. He told her instantly he was interested in her, which was unusual. In those days, when any man saw the woman or girl he liked, he would go to his parents to tell them about it, and they would do the necessary arrangements for the marriage. But the present case, Ejile did not do that. He told Anuleka outright, and Princess Anuleka, who was already dying to know more about the handsome young man who was fluttering around her like a butterfly, she accepted his proposal. When Prince Ejile got home, he told his mother he had found the girl he wanted to marry. Upon being asked who the girl was, he mentioned Princess Anuleka's name. Anuleka, the princess from the Bileke kingdom? His mother asked, "Yes, mommy. Princess Anuleka from the Bileke kingdom," he announced with enthusiasm. But the enthusiasm was short-lived. His mother blatantly told him she was a no-go area for him. Of all the girls in the kingdom, is that the only one that attracts you? She asked in surprise. "Well, yes, mother," replied the prince. "She's the only girl I've seen so far with the qualities and beauty I love." It was love at first sight. When Princess Anuleka got home, she also told her mother, and she got almost the same response from her. The next few days followed with Princess Anuleka and Prince Ejile being together. Prince Ejile, searching for Princess Anolika, he would engage her in secret talks and passionate moments. One day, in a hidden place where they always met, a guard caught the prince and princess having a secret meeting. When he saw this and saw them playing together, hurriedly the guard went back to the palace to tell the prince's parents. The king was very annoyed. He was angry. And when the queen told him she had warned the prince earlier not to go close to Princess Anolika, the king could not comprehend the whole thing anymore. When Prince Ejile got home, he told him that if he ever tried going close to Princess Anolika again, there would be chaos, consequences would follow, because the two kingdoms were arch enemies and had never been in good terms for many years. They've never been on good terms for many years. Prince Ejile asked his parents why they will use their problems to come in between his love. He was warned by his father, the king, not to dare him. But the youths of today are different. What the old man could see from a distance, the young ones cannot see. But then Ejile tried his father. Ejile the prince continued his secret meetings and encounters with Princess Anolika. King Ajage, the prince's father, sent a terrible and terrifying message to the king of Ebeleke, Anolika's father, telling him to warn and hold his daughter away from his son, otherwise there will be war and a total annihilation of the Ebeleke kingdom. The king of Ebeleke was surprised with that. He called the queen his wife and showed her the message. She was shocked too. Princess Anolika was invited by her parents and questioned about it, and she told her parents the truth about the whole secret affairs with the prince of Ajanlekoko kingdom. Her parents told her to desist from going to him anymore. There were other attractive princes all over the place for her to make a choice, instead of causing a war between the two kingdoms that will cause the shedding of blood and taking of lives. So Princess Anolika kept off and stopped seeing the prince. But when the prince realized this and did not see Anolika anymore in their secret places at the right time, he knew something was wrong. And he had to do something about it. I will not allow these old men and their problems to come in between my love and I, he said aloud, vowing to have his own way. He sent someone close to him to look for the princess and deliver a message to her to come to him in another place at a particular time of the day. When the time came, he arrived there earlier and waited patiently for Princess Anolika. When the princess arrived, he convinced the young princess that they needed to keep their love glowing and not allow their parents and their frivolities to come in between them. And they had to escape to get married and love one another forever. That sparked a feeling of deep love in Princess Anolika, and the prince told her to elope with him immediately. The prince and princess did not return back to their respective kingdoms after the meeting. They eloped to an old house in the forest that used to belong to the late king of Ajanlekoko, Prince Ejile's grandfather. Prince Ejile's grandfather had been a great warrior and often used the place as a relaxing place after fighting wars. He would retreat there away from the hustle bustle of the palace to have some rest. It was realized that that was the best place for them, and it was really far and deep in the forest. When the prince and princess did not return home, the two kingdoms were in fits. There was chaos everywhere. My only son and heir apparent to the throne of Ajanlekoko kingdom missing, the king roared. Oh, oh, the war and bloodshed. I will destroy the Bileke kingdom because of that girl. The Bileke kingdom was also boiling, but with more caution, because the king was a very calm person by nature. He conferred with his wife, the queen, and chiefs. And when it was discovered that the prince was also missing, they knew it was a love thing. Men from the kingdom of Obileke were sent out to look for them, and the worried queen, who did not want to lose her only child and daughter, began to beg her husband to let the two children marry if they wanted, as long as she could still see her child, an only child at that. They were thus confused when the men that went in search for them returned after about 3 days without finding them. Ah, my child! Ah, my child! The queen and her husband kept on shouting. But in the other kingdom, the king Ajanlekoko, who had also dispatched his men to look for them, was waiting patiently and impatiently at the same time because he was fuming. And when the men later returned to tell the king they had found them in the late king's resting house deep in the forest, angry and ready to evoke earthquakes, the king of Ajanlekoko sent for the king of Ebileke to go there and take his daughter, because he was also going there to take his son, and there will be war. When the two kings got there, they were shocked to see the prince and princess at the top of the roof, ready to jump down and kill themselves if they were not allowed to get married to one another. That weakened the overbearing king of Ajanlekoko and the calm king of Ebileke. The two kingdoms will not want to lose their children and heirs to their thrones because of land issues, and so they promised they will allow them to get married. But Prince Ajile was wiser than them. He took them to conduct the marriage from that point where they were, from where they stood, otherwise they would both jump down and kill themselves. There was nothing the two opponent kingdoms could do anymore but to conduct the marriage as they were ordered to do by the prince and princess from where they stood. So the marriage was conducted and the elders did the marriage according to tradition from that point. After the ceremony was completed, Prince Ejele and Princess Anulika came down from the rooftop, and that was how the two kingdoms became united once again, and all the problems were settled. That's the end of the story. Please subscribe and let's get to 5,000 subscribers. Don't forget to share the story to other groups, families, and friends that love African storytelling. Thanks for watching.